Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, stories of success through setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. And today we have Naomi to share her story with us. So if you wouldn't mind taking it away and just sharing a little bit briefly about your story to get us started.
Okay. Um, for me, the starting point of my story was about 15 years ago, when when my marriage fell apart. And it wasn't actually so much my marriage, it was my ex-husband, because I was completely surprised. Like, this wasn't like I was expecting it to happen. Not that anybody really expects divorce to happen, but I was just completely surprised, had my life ripped out from under me. I had a 9-month-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And it was it was a lot. And I was a stay-at-home mom at that time. And he left. So left me with the kids, left me with the house, left me with no job. It was it was yeah, it
Overwhelming.
was a lot.
Yeah, that's wow. I don't
Yeah,
and not only that, but you a 9-month-old, so you're still also balancing out hormones and things like that in the oh my
sure.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was I mean, I have a degree, and I hadn't worked in like a normal 9 to 5 in 5 years. So I had been a stay-at-home mom already for 5 years, and it was like 2008, 2000, no, this was like 2010. So it wasn't like a great time to be going back to work in the degree that I had. So I was like totally trying to like figure it out. And one of the things that my ex-husband, he liked big shiny toys, and that was, to satisfy his ego or his own issues. But we had recently bought a bar. So this was my introduction into the entrepreneurial world, because it was his little side thing. And I was busy raising 3 children and running a household and, stuff like that. So I was like, I guess I need a job now. So I'm going to go work at our bar,
Oh.
knowing nothing, like zero restaurant experience. But I knew I needed a paycheck, and I needed to be able to pick myself back up from nothing.
That is so did you co-own the bar then? Like how did you was he still there when you went back to the bar and
Um, Not really. At that time, I think he bartended some. Um, but yeah, we actually owned the bar together for 17 years.
oh my goodness. That's
So, yeah, it just this last year, it's been just a year since I've sold him my shares of the restaurant. So yeah, a lot of people are like, you're a freaking saint. But for me, it was very important to give my children a positive relationship role model. And if I couldn't do it through a marriage, then I would just do it as co-parenting sort of role model.
I think that's beautiful. My parents split up when I was very young, four or five-ish, and same thing. I had no idea about a lot of the inner workings of their relationship until I was like in my teens. Um,
Hmm.
but my mom had a very like cordial, there was no animosity. I mean, I think there was, but again, I didn't
Oh,
know
there was yeah, there's
better.
animosity, but
But like she made it seem so seamless for me, and I think that that definitely translated. So
yeah,
kudos to you for being able to do that. That's a hard thing
thank
to,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so never in my life did I want to be an entrepreneur, like never. And I was thrusted into this without really my consent, but it was a huge learning curve. I feel like it took me a few years to really get my bearings. Fortunately, the business was solid, And I just learned as I went, and it was a cool process. So, and I started to really like get into it. Being like the boss and the business owner gives you it gave me the amount of freedom to be the kind of parent that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I could be at everything, every sporting activity, every school pickup, every uh my child's sick, like anything. I was always there. So, and that was very important to me because the restaurant industry is can be very toxic, and it is a lot of work and a lot of drama, and it was slowly sucking the life out of me, but that compromise was acceptable because then I could be the kind of mom that I wanted to be.
Yeah, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
imagine, well, you already answered my second question, which is what adversity have you answered and how? But I also have a follow-up question that's kind of close to that. Since you just sold your other part of it, how did you guys get through COVID? Because I feel like that for not only the restaurant industry itself, but like for so many businesses that rely on in-person people, that was a very big hit. Like, how did you navigate?
Yeah. So, I mean, there were a lot of government programs, and we took advantage of every single one. And most of them got forgiven. So I think that there was one that wasn't. And I think it was good that we were still allowed to be open. Restaurants were considered a critical, or I forget the terminology, but um, we bent some rules here and there, but we were your small little neighborhood bar. It's not like we were corporate or anything, and we just did what we could.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I can't even imagine. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What
I
do
think
you
it was also because we had a strong community, because we were the neighborhood bar. We had all of our regulars just came together, and even people that weren't regulars, like they knew that we were like this small neighborhood bar. They would come out of their way to order food like 2 or 3 times a week. Like it was really nice.
That's incredible. What do
Yeah.
you, so you sold your share last year. What do you do these days?
Okay, so this was my second pivot. And after this, I was like, I'm the queen of the pivot now. Because so before I have a interior design degree, pivoted to stay-at-home mom, and then from stay-at-home mom to restaurant owner, and then now from restaurant owner to life coach.
That's amazing. Also, I can see the interior design by your background. It's so
Yes,
beautiful.
thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, that's okay. All right. That's a great transition. I feel like it's kind of a natural progression though. Like
Okay.
right?
I mean, for me, for like anybody that knows me, like they're like, you've been life coaching your whole life. So it's like it's my personality. I love psychology, and like the depths and the layers of what's really going on inside, and a lot of times what's on the outside is not representative of what's actually happening on the inside, but yet we still judge people based on what's happening on the outside. And it's just like, if we could all just take a second and like try to have more of an open mind and have that different perspective, I think life would be much nicer. So I love it. I love coaching women on how to figure out who they are, and what they want and how to get it out of life.
I think that's amazing. Do you use any of your like interior design in your life coaching? Like any of the same skills? Do you feel like they kind of work together? Like
Um,
once you get your life kind of situated, you can organize things better. I don't know. I feel
right.
like when I am feeling the most productive is when I am the least calm or the least chaotic inside, and
Sure.
then I can tackle the cleaning that I haven't been doing or the organizing
Sure.
the room or going through the drawers or whatever it is that I need to be doing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. A cluttered mind leads to a cluttered life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. What is your biggest tip that you think that you work on with women in life coaching? What do you think is like the biggest overall thing that comes up?
So the one the one thing that is the hill I will die on is I strongly believe in the law of attraction. And the idea that what you're putting out in life is what you're going to get back. So a lot of times, people talk about like, I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know why I'm always attracted to douchebags, or I don't know how to get out of my own way. It's like it's what you're telling the universe, God, spirit, whoever you believe in. It's what you put out is what you're telling them to give back to you. So a lot of times people don't even realize that they are their own worst enemy and that they need to adjust. You have to live how you want to be. So sometimes it's not about being better, but it's about doing better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and do you also feel, do you see that like the first time in making those changes and starting that law of attraction, the first or maybe even the first 10 times you say something, it's going to feel really weird and really different and really outside of the norm. But the more you say it, the more real it becomes and the more you own it and the more you're like, okay, this is me for sure. But
Yeah,
I notice a lot of my friends even are like, I can't do that. And I was like, I know it feels weird. It feels weird at first. It does. I
yeah.
took a meditation course last year because I was like, okay, I need to really step outside of my comfort zone a little bit and work on this because I'm not good at being still. Wasn't. I'm getting better. But the first time that it had me sit for a minute and do nothing else, I think it only was like 15 seconds. And I was like, oh, I need to, nope, that's not the point of what
Right.
I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
It's so hard to make those small changes. But I think awareness is a big key as
Oh, awareness is the first place to start. But there's some science behind a lot of what you're saying, and I'll geek out a little bit. I love my neuroscience, but you have neural pathways in your brain, and when you want to change something, you're first dealing with the neural pathways because your whole being likes the path of least resistance. But then B, you're dealing with like some caveman history because change is seen as bad. And when, back in the caveman days, it's flight, fright, or freeze. And um, that's still your first reaction to change. So you have to almost train your brain that the change is okay. And then you'll start accepting it more and more into your life. And, again, what you put out is what you get back.
that. Okay. So, on a similar vein, what do you think it is about entrepreneurs that makes us continue on when it gets tough, when things get challenging? What do you think it is about us that is like, nope, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep going?
I think it is the challenge because if you're an entrepreneur, you love a challenge.
Yeah.
So like for me, I love to learn new things. Like I would not that I would go back to school. I like learning on my own terms, but um I like the challenge of something new and different and exciting, and because then you get that sense of accomplishment, when you've actually achieved it, and then it's time for the next one.
That's so true. Do you think that's why maybe you weren't like, I don't know, I'm sure you were just taken aback, but when the bar option was available, you're like, I'm gonna dive in. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going, and it's gonna be fine. I'm like,
It's interesting because that one pivot was the easiest one for me
oh,
because I know you would think otherwise because of the circumstances, but I had no choice because as a mother, I had to provide.
yeah.
So like, you do anything for your children, women lift cars, things like that. So that was the easiest pivot for me.
Okay. All right. What about the life coaching pivot then? Because I imagine that one was a little bit more of a, okay, we're gonna dive into this. It's make or break, I guess. But
Yeah,
what
so that one was in the works for probably 7 or 8 years. Like
okay.
it took me that long to get up the courage to do it because this was my choice. Like I didn't have it thrusted upon me. There was no extenuous circumstances. Like this was my choice to leave.
Yeah.
And it was to pursue a passion, so it was riskier. And so it was, yeah, it was 7 or 8 years in the works. And finally, I read a book and they're like, in the book, she's like, just pick a day when you're going to give your 2 weeks notice. And that was all it took for me. So I picked the
Mm.
day. It was like a week after St. Patrick's Day. And I told my ex-husband that I was leaving.
That's so crazy. I love that for you though. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I was speaking with somebody a little bit ago. I can't remember exactly how she stated it, but she said there comes a time when there's a choice to be made like that where you're like that's just I'm picking a day. This is it. This is what I'm meant to do. And she said there comes a time where you're going through the motions. You're like, I'm good at this. I can do this. And then you're just like, I'm all in on what I want to do. And that
Yeah.
sounds very
It
much like
was
what
it
happened.
was terrifying though, because like granted, it's something that I'm passionate about, but it's like, are other people going to value me? Like, because I'm putting myself out there in completely brand new. Like, building this business from scratch has been one of the hardest things I've ever done,
Yeah.
hands down. Because even with the restaurant, like that was a business that had already been up and running. Like when we bought it, we closed the doors for an hour and then opened it right back up. Like nothing had happened. And I thought, oh, I've got this. I could be an entrepreneur. But this building my business from scratch has been the hardest thing I've ever done.
What do you think? I don't know. I have two questions kind of. What do you think is the hardest part about building it from scratch?
Audience, having an audience,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then
people finding me.
what do you think helps to motivate you when it like because you have the ebbs and flows where it's
Oh,
going
sure.
well and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna shout it from the rooftops. This is so great. I'm gonna celebrate it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute, the next day you're going, okay, maybe this isn't the right route. I don't know. And you're second guessing it. How do you continue to live the law of attraction and to like know that this is your purpose and you are still following it even on the times that it's dipping and difficult?
So, yeah, that is a very good question. And there are two pieces for me that are non-negotiable. One is community. So, surrounding yourself with either a support group, you know, an, a, I am a life coach, but I also have a life coach that, it's like group coaching container. So you have people to fall back on. And then the other thing is faith. And granted, I grew up Catholic. I'm not a practicing Catholic right now, so faith has meant different things to me throughout my whole life. But for me now, having faith in the universe that, it knows what's best. So just community and faith.
I like that a lot. I love that you specify that too. Like faith can mean so many different things, and I feel like a lot of people put a religious connotation on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. Like it's just a
Yeah.
belief in something. Yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. 100%. What overall takeaway or lesson do you think other mompreneurs would be able to use specifically from your experience?
That you can do anything. Um, I don't know. I guess believe in yourself, believe in what you know you can do. And even when you don't know you can do it, just push through that and you can do it.
That's so true. I feel like we've been taught to kind of dampen ourselves over time and just in we're caretakers. We're meant to take care of other people.
Sure.
Sometimes putting yourself first is taking care of other people. And it is true. If you just push through, it can be scary, but if you push
Yeah.
through, it's kind of amazing what you can do and what you see.
Yeah, it was something I heard recently from Mel Robbins talking about imposter syndrome. And which, I've had my moments over the last few years of some serious imposter syndrome. But she said that that feeling that you get when you're doubting yourself and you're in the throes of imposter syndrome, that means you're in the right place.
Oh, okay. I like that. I might have to write
I
that down.
Listen, it was a podcast between Mel Robbins and Amy Porterfield, and it's towards the end. It was amazing. Like that blew my mind recently. So
Yeah,
I was like, "Yep, could have used that a few years ago, Mel, but thank you."
right. Thank you for that now.
I
Uh,
know.
that's fantastic. Okay. Well, what is the best way for others to find you if they want to work with you, if they want to learn more about you, if they want to just soak up all that you have to offer?
So, I have a website for my life coaching practice. It's called keepfindingyou.com. And that'll talk about, what I offer for coaching. And I also, you can find me on Instagram, and Facebook, because that just kind of goes hand in hand. It's keep finding you, but with the letter U instead of spelling out YOU. But I actually have fun doing content, so I'm a fun follow if you like to be slightly entertained and learning at the same time.
Perfect. I will follow you for sure. I will also have the links in the description, but just in case they're listening and not checking out that at the moment, they can still find you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been very enlightening and really fun. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
absolutely. So, as I like to tell everybody, your story is inspirational and your willingness to be open about it is very much appreciated and needed in this time, especially. For those of you out there facing your own adversity, know that you're not alone. That is the whole reason we are doing this. And when you need an extra hand or a mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, we would love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society, or you can reach out to Naomi. Sounds like that would be a great fit.
Yes.
But the Mom Elevated Society also now has Gift Yourself Grace program. You'll have monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, and so much more for both your business and your mom life. And until next time, keep shooting for the stars.